illegal.
So is the argument going to be that these women are lying, or that what the women are alleging may be disagreeable and true, but it's not a crime?
Well, I think it's going to be a combination of all of that. I think that some of the women are just out and out lying. I think that some of the women are exaggerating. I think that some of the women are perhaps telling the truth about what happened, but it's just not a crime. What the government has done here is they've used the RICO statute, which really is intended to prosecute gangs and mobsters, and they're trying to prosecute an individual for a bunch of acts where the statute of limitations has expired, or they were minor acts and they've sort of blown them out of proportion by using this RICO law. In my opinion, it's just a complete perversion of the intent of the RICO law.
So when you talk about sweeping up these minor acts into the bigger crime under the RICO law, what are you considering to be a minor act? What would the defense be willing to concede as true to try to get R. Kelly off in this case?
Well, I think the one that everyone's heard about the most is an allegation that he gave people herpes, which actually is not what the law says.
And being called sweetheart and honey in the context that these girls were saying,
but
they were kept locked in rooms.
These are grown, Gail,
yeah.
These are grown, no, these are not kept locked in rooms. These are grown women, for the most part, who made a choice to be with an individual who was a celebrity. When they talk about being in a locked room, they would go to the studio, they would be told, wait in this room, someone will come and get you. There's no chains, there's no hooks in the floor like we supposedly heard about in that so-called documentary. There's none of that. If I go to visit somebody at a police station, I get put in a room and told I can't leave the room. If you go to certain places, you get told to wait in the room. These women waited sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours while he was recording music, but that's not being locked in a room forever and held days on end like you see in some of these sex slave kind of cases.
Yeah,
these were not
they have
sex
a different
slaves
version,
by any
Steve,
stretch.
to your characterization.
Yeah, they do.
Well, and that's why we have trials.
Yeah.
That's why we have
hear
trials. That's why we have cross-examination, and that's why we should all keep an open mind until the end.
So you're saying mental abuse, if that's what it is, isn't a crime?
Well, mental abuse isn't a crime. That's absolutely correct. So what's happened here is we've got the Me Too movement, and so we look at something and we say, well, this was abuse. But is it against the law? That's really what you have to do, and that's what they have to do in opening statement today, is get that across to the jurors that there's a difference between what's morally incorrect or Me Too incorrect and what's legally incorrect.
Steve, you were there that day we did the interview with R. Kelly, and I'm curious about your characterization of that. And the reason why I'm asking you specifically is because later R. Kelly said to me, or sent word to me, that he was thanking me for giving him the platform to express himself because we got to see, he says, his passion and his pain. Do you think that interview hurt or helped him?
I think to some people it helped and to some people it hurt. If R. Kelly had sat there with you perfectly stoic, everyone would have said, he doesn't feel bad about anything. He's got no emotion. He's got no feeling. He got very upset during that interview. That was very real. That was how he felt. That is how I feel, that he's being taken advantage of here. The problem is, no matter what the man does, people are going to criticize. But all that matters, Gail, and you know this, is what those 12 people in the courtroom think in some 3 or 4 weeks from now.
All right.
All right, Steve Greenberg, thank you very much. We appreciate you getting up with us.
Hi, you guys. So, R. Kelly's trial opening statement started today in New York. So this morning, CBS with Gail and her co-anchor, they had one of R. Kelly's past lawyers, I believe his name is Steve Greenberg, and he, in the conversation, he was just trying to explain R. Kelly's side. He still, of course, supports R. Kelly, even though he's not on the, he's not representing him right now. And, he has a right to have his opinion, as everyone has a right to their opinion. He started saying that to him, that he finds this whole thing about women saying that R. Kelly was asking them to call him daddy is not a crime, right? Which I think it kind of takes the whole thing out of context to me for him to even pull that out. But that's just my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm just giving you what I took from the conversation this morning. But anyway, he was like, oh, that's just like a term of endearment, pretty much. And, of course, Gail, she chimed in and she was like, no, there's a difference than you calling your man or your husband or whomever daddy, and you having some young woman call you daddy to get her meal, right? Like these women were saying they were being locked in a room and they had to ask him to have lunch and they had to ask him for breakfast. And, there is, and I agree with Gail, there's a difference when it's how he's trying to take that out of context. For me, is that part. But let me know what you guys think about all of that. Do you think what he's saying is true, that you can't look at, he said, R. Kelly asking these girls to call him daddy is not a crime. It's not necessarily a crime, but it is abusive in a way, I feel. It's a part of, demeaning someone. To me, I feel like women choose when the man they want to call daddy. They don't have, their husbands and boyfriends don't normally come to them and say, call me daddy, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like Dr. Heverly calls her husband daddy. I don't think that he was the one who told her to start calling him dad. I think she came up with that on her own, and she has given us the reason why she calls her husband daddy. So, and Monique as well, but these women have decided to do that on their own. That's very different than someone's talking to you like, yeah, you gotta call me daddy, and it is, I'm sorry, and that's just my opinion. But let me know what you guys think about all of that. Do you think that's going to stand up in with this jury at all? What he's trying to say? I don't think he's making a good point with that. I think Gail was making a good point to say there is a difference. Like I said, women normally will come up with that on their own if that's what they want to call their man or their husband. That's not something that you start telling somebody they have to call you, and they have to call you that to get them to have dinner, or to leave the room and all this stuff, or whenever they're talking to you. Let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments. And he's also saying that most of the women were of age. Like I said, each state is different. He could have a point with that. They may feel that in New York, 17 is, of age to consent to date a man older than you. So it will be based on the law with that. Like you said, it's not against the law for a woman to call a man daddy, but I think it comes into play when you're forcing that person to say that. And if these women felt like you were forcing them to call you that, then that's different. And it is degrading and demeaning for you to not allow someone to do things on their own will. That's just my opinion. You guys can let me know what you think about all of this. Are you going to follow what's going on with his case? I don't think it's going to air or anything like that. I think we're just probably going to hear the media update us on what's going on within his trial. And let me know what you guys think about all of that. I'm not trying to get it off into no big debates with nobody about R. Kelly and all that stuff. I understand everyone has their own feelings about, the age of consent. Everybody was raised differently. Everybody has their own moral set and standards and their own boundaries. And so I get that. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to feel about anything. I'm just asking your opinion. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.